For my next test of the full self-drive software on this Model 3, I'm just going to see how it handles my commute to work. Come along for the ride. From my first trip, the car's weak spot on full self-drive was these unpainted county roads that I'm going to be starting off on. I also want to do a few different things to the car because I did this yesterday and it didn't want to go the route that I wanted it to go. So I'm going to go into a few setup things first. I'm going to tap on the screen first off and show you on the software that the update that I'm running here is version 12, 2024.14.6, and a whole bunch of stuff. The FSD supervised software is version 12.3.6. So for those of you who are interested in those stats, that's great. I'm going to go into navigation and I'm going to turn on avoid tolls because the car is going to want me to save a minute and a half of commute to take a toll road that's going to cost me $3 to $4 each direction. I don't want to do that. And now let's see the route. And so now it wants me to go this route, but there's a lot of construction right here and I want to avoid that. So I'm going to have some interventions where I turn full self-drive off to make the car go the way that I want it to go, to avoid that construction and to avoid the heavier traffic. So I'm going to mount the camera back on my roof and get this thing started. All right, I'm going down to the end of my street. I'm still driving the car on my own. I'm going to move the screen into the full screen visualization so it'll be a little easier for you guys to see. I know that it's not taking up a whole lot of my screen and I just have the one camera angle for this. It is looking like it's going to be a nice sunny day today compared to my rain test from a couple of days ago. And I'm going to go ahead and engage full self-drive right now and have the car drive from here. Full stop. And off we go. This section of road usually has a family of Great Pyrenees mixed dogs that like to camp out in the middle of the road. We'll see if they're there and how the car handles it. Yep, there's one. So I've got a dog coming up here on the right-hand side of the road. The car slowed down a little bit and moved to the left away from the dog. So I did see the dog. I don't know if it came up on the screen. I was too busy watching the dog and making sure the car didn't hit the dog. Small dog. Stay over there. Oh, yep. Again, I was too busy watching the dog, but the car did brake when that little dog started walking toward me. The little dog didn't come out into the road, but the car did brake just to be sure. So that, oh, and here we go. Dogs in the road, dogs in the road, dogs in the road, dogs in the road. And we have come to a complete stop. And yes, the screen sees the dogs. And that dog has now gotten out of the way and the car is going. Right as a pickup truck comes up behind me. So yeah, they were just lounging in the middle of the road, but the car stopped for them and that was great. And that takes me out of the dog obstacle course. Left about 5 minutes later than I normally do, and I've got sun. And we'll see how the car does with being a little sun blinded. This is a really tight right turn that it's going to have to take. Not super tight, but there are some heavy trees off to the left. So it's going to be interesting to see how well it does. We're inching up. And we're clear, and off we go. Now at the end of this road, the hill's pretty steep going to the stop sign, so we'll see how well the car can check oncoming traffic, or cross traffic, I should say. So now that it doesn't have the sun glare, we're going 28 now, but we're going to get to the top of this hill and see how the car handles this stop sign in this intersection. We stopped behind the sign. We're inching up so it can kind of see around this fence. There's a car coming from the right. And there we go. Whoa! And I had to take over because the car did that turn and tried to accelerate too hard and broke the rear wheels loose just a little bit. So that's interesting. I don't know if we hit some water or if we hit some gravel, but yeah, the back end slid a little bit. That's the first time I've ever had the back end of this car slide, and it wasn't me driving that did it. I'll double check and see if, I was letting the car handle the turn, and it just accelerated too hard out of the turn. All right, so full self-drive is engaged again. We're on a 40-mile-an-hour road. We're accelerating gently up to 40. We are going into the rising sun, so the car's vision might be a little bit obscured, but there's a little bit of small amount of construction coming up. And yes, I'm going this way to avoid construction, but welcome to North Texas. There's construction everywhere. There's some potholes here, and the car is not... Oh no, they filled them. Nice. Don't have to worry about those potholes. So coming around this corner, they're building a new street here, right into the sun. Whoa, we got a little too closer to those construction signs than I would have liked. Yesterday, without the sun glare, it was able to avoid them a little bit better. But it didn't handle that so well. Let's put full self-drive back on. We've got a very sharp, well, not very sharp. We've got a 90-degree curve. Ooh. We just ran over a piece of debris. Don't know what it was. So let me go to my tire pressure and make sure everything's okay there. Okay. So we're slowing down for this curve. Handles it just fine, takes it at 17. I guess people have missed that curve and gone into that pond before. Going through this S curve. It's a slightly later entry than I would have liked, but it was still controllable. The car decelerated a little bit. We've got another S curve coming up. While the car is set to do 40 miles an hour, which is the speed limit on this road, it took that S curve at 32 down to 31. And we're gradually accelerating up to 35. And I gotta think that's because of the glare. And yeah, I'm gonna disengage because it did some braking right there with the glare, and that guy behind me is getting close. So I'm gonna take over here until we get out of this corner. The next obstacle that we're going to go through is a traffic circle, but it looks like I'm going to have to disengage the full self-drive through this traffic circle because it wants me to go basically straight and, going through the traffic circle, but then continue going the direction I'm going. And that takes me through a low water crossing. We've had a lot of rain lately, and that particular water crossing always has water in it, even in the middle of a drought, and so it's usually flooded after a heavy rain. So I'm going to disengage. I'll have another traffic circle coming up here momentarily, and we'll be able to see what the car does through that. So I'll drive around this one because I want to go this way instead of that way. I've got full self-drive re-engaged, and first we'll have a railroad crossing, and then we'll come to the roundabout. Glare increased, so we decelerated about 3 miles an hour. This railroad crossing is very smooth as railroad crossings go. The car did decelerate to 35, make that 34, and hasn't re-accelerated. Coming up onto the traffic circle, and there is a lot of glare. but no cars coming and proving to you that the car is doing this by itself. So there we go, and we're off. And now we're going to see if it'll handle a right turn on red. It does. Traffic was clear, and so off we go. Have to make a left turn coming up, and so it put me in the left lane after the right turn, and it did it legally. It went into the right-hand turn lane for just a little bit and then turned on the turn signal and then merged rather than turning into this lane. It's putting me in a turn lane. I do not want to be in a turn lane, so I'm signaling, go, 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 thank you. Signaling to get out of the turn lane. Didn't do that yesterday morning, but it was following that car, and that's a turn lane to go into that high school. And I'm not going there. Now there's 2 left turn lanes here. Which one is it going to put me in? It's going to go to, nope, it changed its mind. And red light. There were no cars in the inside turn lane. There were a line of cars in the turn lane that I'm in, but the next turn I have to make is a right turn, so it makes more sense to be in this lane. Fewer lane changes necessary. You don't have to make a lane change after the turn. But it was trying to see what traffic did, and the light had changed when we were coming up, so it changed its mind and went back to this lane, because for the route, this is the better lane to be in. Light has turned green. Off we go, and into the right-hand lane, because that's what that turn lane is supposed to do. Okay, so here's the turn for this on-ramp. The road that I'm on goes over the freeway, goes over the frontage road, and so it turns off here to get to the frontage road. We're out of the traffic, and thankfully for the car, we're going to be driving away from the sun now. We stopped at the stop sign, nobody's coming, and so off we go. And it should have some pretty healthy acceleration here, because it's going onto a 50-mile-an-hour road. It needs to get me over to the left. It's doing that. Freeway on-ramp is coming up. We're currently, speed is 50 miles per hour. And somewhere in the middle of this on-ramp, it will likely accelerate to 70 miles per hour, which is the speed limit on the interstate that we're getting on. Where's the acceleration? Should be coming. There we go. And traffic's flowing, but there's a good amount of it. So we'll see how the car handles this. It did not merge. So I'm going to turn on my signal again. There we go. Behave yourself. All right, we're set. We're at the speed limit behind a bus. Freeways and interstates, highways like this, in the little experience that I've had using full self-drive or FSD, this is where it really shines. It likes this road. It likes this kind of road. Took a few miles, but finally got behind somebody who's going below the speed limit. And so let's see. The car is signaling. Oh, no. Okay, good job. As soon as it turned on the signal, that SUV sped up to close the hole. Now nobody's coming. Now it can make the lane change, but is it going to? No, because everybody sped up. But yeah, we had dropped down to 65 miles an hour, and the car was going to try to pass the cars in front of us, but an SUV kind of accelerated to plug the hole. And the car decided against making the lane change, which was a good idea. Back behind some vehicles that are moving a little slower, and now the car is going to make a pass. There we go. FSD did that on its own. Now that car's exiting, and so I'm going to tell it to go back to the right lane, because there are cars coming up. I didn't want to wait for the car to decide, so all I did there was turn on the turn signal, and the car made the lane change. My off-ramp is coming right after the crest of this hill, and it's an off-ramp that dumps onto a frontage road that's two-way traffic, but it has, looks like there's a big old line of cars stopped at the light. We are slowing down. I may need to intervene here. Yesterday it dumped me off here onto the wrong side of this two-way road and I had to disengage. But today, if it does that, it's going to make me pass a bunch of cars, and I don't think that's going to work. We are slowing down considerably, and it looks like it's going to pass them. So I'm going to go and get in line like a good boy. I have disengaged FSD, and here is where I will leave you. I'll give you some final thoughts in a sec. Stopped at this red light, and I'm going to end the video here. So far, it looks like FSD likes freeways and highways a lot better than it does those county roads. City streets, it does okay. It's kind of mid, and it does not seem to like sun glare. It seemed to do... well, it seemed to do a little better in the rain, but when it gets to those harsh shadows, especially if there's like a puddle on the road or something like that, it thought it was an obstacle. It did a great job of avoiding the dogs in my neighborhood earlier today. If you found this video informative, give us a like. If there's anything you want me to test out with FSD, mention it in the comments, and I'll try to get that video done before my trial runs out. And again, these are going to take... I'm going to have FSD videos going long after the trial runs out because I'm going to get a lot of content off of this and try to do a lot of different tests. But subscribe as those videos are coming up, please, and thank you very much for watching.